Hi, this is Rob Curto here at Liberty Bellows in Philadelphia. Welcome back to our video series on groove creation for the accordion. In our last video, we learned to play a bass line and right-hand accompaniment for a slow 12/8 groove, which has been used by various artists, including the great Zydeco accordionist Clifton Chenier. In today's video, our goal is to apply this groove to Clifton's song I'm Coming Home, which utilizes an 8-bar blues progression in the key of C. Here's what the tune looks and sounds like with the melody in the right hand and the bass line in the left. Listen for the 8-bar blues progression, which in this case is one measure each of C, G, A minor, and F, followed by one measure of C, one measure of G, and then finally 2 beats each of C, F, C, and G. Here we go. Now let's imagine that a vocalist or other instrument is playing the melody. We can accompany them by using the same 2-hand pattern that we learned in our last video and applying it to our new 8-bar chord progression. Played just over the C major chord, the pattern we learned looks and sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's focus on the left hand and learn a bass line for our entire 8-bar blues progression. This part is similar to what a bass player in a Zydeco band might play over this tune. Remember that our basic pattern uses our third finger on the root, in this case C, our fourth finger on the third, or E, in the counterbass row, then our second finger on the fifth, or G, and finally our fourth finger on an A, also in the counterbass row. Then we play these notes in the following rhythmic pattern in 12/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can take the same exact pattern, play it in G or F, as needed. To play our entire bass arrangement, we'll start by playing the regular pattern, first in C for one measure, and then in G for one measure. Then when we get to the A minor chord for one measure, we're going to play a different pattern that uses a similar rhythm. We'll start with our second finger on A and our third finger on G, and we'll play. Then, to finish the pattern, we'll play our second finger on A, third finger on G, second finger on a G flat or F sharp, leading us down to the F with our third finger. So that whole part in A minor sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we finished up by playing the F pattern one time. So the whole thing from the beginning now sounds like this. And now to finish the tune, we'll play it one more time in C, one more time in G, and then we'll play a different pattern for the last 2 measures. So the first 6 measures of our 8-measure pattern sound like this. And now to finish the tune, Now for our last two measures of the 8-measure pattern, we're going to play first root, third, fifth in C, like this. And then the same thing in F. And then C, E, F, F sharp, and G. So the last two measures look and sound like this. Third finger on E, fourth finger on F, second finger on F sharp in the counterbass row, and our third finger on G to finish. Now the entire 8 measures. Now let's look at the right hand part of our accompaniment. We have 4 chords that we need to play in the right hand: C, G, A minor, and F. For our C chord, let's start by creating an octave on the G, or fifth of the chord, with our first and fifth fingers. And then we'll fill in the rest of the chord with our second and fourth fingers on the C and E. Then for our G chord, we'll maintain our octave and just switch to B and D with our second and third fingers. Then for our A minor, we'll create an octave on an A, and with fingers 2 and 3 on the C and E, we get our chord. And then for our F chord, all we need to do is move the E up to an F. These are our 4 chords. Notice that we're doubling octaves on every chord. This helps to create a more insistent and strong sound for a rhythmic accompaniment. If we play the chords by holding them for a whole or half measure as needed, our tune sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here are the exact same chords in the same progression, played using our 12/8 triplets that we learned in the last video. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, if we play these chord triplets in the right hand over the bass line that we just learned, our full accompaniment looks and sounds like this. Congratulations on learning to play a complete accompaniment to I'm Coming Home by the great Zydeco master Clifton Chenier. We learned how to play a slow rock or 12/8 groove on the accordion with a bass line and a right-hand chordal pattern. This type of rhythm can be found in many songs from the Zydeco, rock, and R&B repertoire. Stay tuned for our next video in which we'll elaborate on this groove with some riffs and patterns for improvisation.